Michael asked to talk about the three most pressing issues each of us is working on. And that's a very good question, and my answer is this. Our blind spots, tech for life, with a question mark and paradigm shift. Blind spots, what do I mean with blind spots? I mean that we have to have the humility to recognize that one thing is reality and another one is our perception of reality. Our human intelligence is quite limited, and even more, our conscious mind and conscious intelligence is even more limited than that. Consciousness is a small part of our mind. But in any case, we interpret reality through our perceptions. And the difference between reality and the perceived reality makes some blind spots. Blind spots are the things we don't see, of course, which we are not aware, but especially the things we see, but we don't want to see. The many things we are in denial of. And we are very strong. Humans were very strong in denial. So to start with, this is one big blind spot we have as a civilization. The fact that we are living as if we had two planets on average, consuming more resources, more natural resources than the Earth is able to create, to produce, to regenerate every year. And that's where we are, so you see that the pointer doesn't seem to work. Anyway, you see that in the 70s we were more or less in balance, but now far from balance. We are more or less at 1.7 planets, consuming the 1.7 times what the planet is able to produce. That's called the overshoot concept. And that's a big blind spot from which we will not escape for obvious reasons, because the planet is finite. The resources that the planet is able to produce are finite. Moreover, more important than that is the distribution of that footprint among the different countries and cultures in the world. Here you have a plot of Human Development Index, a combination, an indicator which combines GDP per capita as an indicator of affluence, life expectancy as an indicator of health, and educational levels. So that's, as all indicators, it's imperfect and arbitrary, but it tries to measure the levels of well-being, of human well-being, versus ecological footprint, measured in how many hectares of land we need per person. And what you see here is that sustainable development, all the countries should be here, in this box where we can combine high levels of human well-being with low ecological footprint. Sorry, bad news. No country is in that box. And the box is getting smaller, by the way, because the indicator of this ecological footprint is measured per person. So the population in the world continues to grow. So this line is going down and down over time. And more important even than that is that we haven't found a way to combine high well-being and low footprint. If you see here, the countries are distributed in a way that low footprint implies low levels of well-being as measured by these indicators, and high level of well-being corresponds to high ecological footprint. That's a change. That's a big change. I'm not saying that we are doomed, not at all. We practice the optimism of the will, but that's a challenge, and that's a challenge we are mostly not taking care of. This is why I said this is a blind spot. Another example of blind spot is our relationship to oil and fossil fuels in general. And we are still, of course, our perception of this topic due to climate change has changed a lot. but we are still a little bit in denial of this fact that we have burned out a resource that nature took millions of years to produce. We are burning it out in a very short time frame compared to the age of the Earth, but also compared to the age of human civilizations, basically in 3-4 centuries. Another blind spot, and this is for another provocation for more for the economists and economic thinking, is this fact that the growth of production of GDP as an indicator of global production, which is these figures, has happened in the last 30 years in parallel with a much faster growth in financial assets. So the relationship between financial assets and real wealth, if you want, a real production of wealth through GDP, has been multiplied by 3. And this is very weird, because it's saying something in a way. I mean, you can, this is of course subject to many different interpretations, but you could say, we are sitting on a huge amount of debt. Our economic growth, which has been substantial, has been attained at the cost of a huge amount of debt. Another provocation. We don't know if we will be able to reconcile these 3 concepts of democracy. We have been talking about democracy, ecology, so how do we reconcile with the biosphere, and what I call rentism, our aspiration, which is natural, which is human, aspiration of living out of the results of the products of our past wealth, of the wealth we have produced in the past. These are for the blind spots. My second area of interest and work is the role of technology, science and technology, in addressing these challenges, and that's what I call tech for life, with a question mark. Why the question mark? Because I think that the way science and technology is framed today, science and technology do not come from outside, from another planet or an external, something external to society. It's part of society. It's produced by humans in concrete conditions and in a particular social framing. That social framing does not ensure the way it works. It works very effectively. It produces very interesting results. But that does not ensure the way it is constructed. That does not ensure that we address the societal challenges, and in particular the challenges I was talking about. Because the way it is framed today, it's about, are we able to produce something which has a market, which has a demand, which is profitable? While a lot of the externalities, in particular environmental externalities, fall outside of the market or are not addressed through market mechanisms. So to a certain point we are producing maybe solutions looking for problems instead of solutions to problems, or solutions which will be the problems of tomorrow. And we should ask to technology some not so easy questions. If we have to increase or to keep our well-being, or even to increase our well-being, but we have definitely to reduce our footprint, our ecological footprint, what we have to do is to provoke reductions in the use of energy and resources. Does a particular invention or a particular technology, does it do that? Does it help to do that? How do we avoid rebound effects? Is technology useful to change the consumer's habits, to change the lifestyle toward less footprint? Generally speaking, of course, you have all kinds of examples. You can find examples where technology, in particular digital technologies, are used for that. But you find many different examples, and the dominant ones are not being used for that. And we could, for sure, use technology, in particular information technologies, digital technologies, to go in this direction. So more information here In any human process, in particular economic process, we are using a combination of information, time, and energy and resources. Go from here, zero information, to maximum information. We could use it in different ways. We are using it in this way so as to reduce time, and in particular human time, the contribution of labor. This is why we are talking about AI as a potential tool for replacement of human labor. Well, we could do the reverse. We could go this way towards, let's use AI to reduce dramatically the consumption of energy and other non-renewable resources. But all this, in my view, requires a real paradigm shift in the way we conceive the world and our relationship with the world, and in particular with the biosphere. So, because we have to do this exercise of putting all these countries, all the countries in the world in that box. No small task. So we have to go towards this high well-being at low footprint, which in my view is a complete redefinition of what we understand as growth. We're still very much in the idea that we need economic growth. Well, I think we have to redefine growth in the sense of bridging this gap between high well-being and low footprint, which of course means completely different things depending on the countries in which you are. Some countries where we have high levels of well-being, we have to reduce our footprint, and vice versa. In other countries where there are obviously a demand and a necessity of high well-being, how to do that without increasing their footprint. Just an example, there are not so many. And this is why this is a provocation and not a usual statement. You don't see so many times countries taking this bull by the horns. And just to give a positive example, Switzerland voted in a referendum a strategy, an energy strategy for 2050, where which is with a goal which is expressed not in terms of energy efficiency, not in terms of the amount of renewables, in terms of the total consumption of energy. Half it. Reduce it by 50%, the total consumption of energy. Without, of course, losing well-being. It's not that the Swiss now want to be poor and live worse than before. So there are some sparks in the dark. I'm finishing the presentation. Of course, the previous ones may look quite pessimistic, but again, against the pessimism of the intelligence, the optimism of the will. And I think we have to take this bull by the horns. The fact that we have blind spots. Just that, awareness about that. That technology is not necessarily addressing the blind spot, but it could if we did the design of new science and technology in a different way. And knowledge can open the space of possibilities. If we realize that all what I'm talking about is related to life at large, to our individual lives, to life at large, and to our relationship with the biosphere. For that, in my view, what we need is not only reform. The word reform has been used yesterday. I think it's bifurcation. It's not resilience, it's bifurcation towards a new civilization. If not, we will go, and we have the signs of that are already very present, that have been mentioned many times yesterday and today. Spark in the dark is that we are able to learn. And actually, life, there is no difference according to Normative, so there is no difference between living and learning. And that we have to do is to learn together. Towards something I call the society of living. I will not develop this. I'm just finishing. But among that, I would say, let's go to material sufficiency, but we can be infinite in our creativity, in our learning, and organize the world such as that we continuously learn all together. And this is the last one, which is an optimistic statement by a lady, an Indian writer, and you will see that she uses the feminine to talk about the world. And it's not a mistake.